Good afternoon. This paper, entitled Woven Wisdom, Minangkabau and Mindanao Textiles, explores relationships between textile motifs in Indonesia and the Philippines. I focus in particular on the kain songket or gold supplementary weft textiles of the Minangkabau people in West Sumatra and related motifs among the Maranao, Maguindanao, and Tausug in Mindanao. The two main regions I discuss are located in the modern nations of Indonesia in green and the Philippines in orange. I begin in West Sumatra before moving on to Mindanao. This first section is based on field research on the ontology of architecture and their relationship to textiles that I did in Minangkabau several years ago. The map on the right shows the location of the Minangkabau Highlands, a major supplier of gold, pepper, and later coffee. Interest in the gold trade brought South Indian traders, invaders from Java, Islamic proselytizers, and Dutch merchants, one after the other, injecting foreign elements that survive today. On the left is a Minangkabau family in front of their clan house. The clan house, or Rumah Gadang, is associated with various Minangkabau origin myths, including references to the primordial Earth Mother, Bundukanduang, and the horns of the victorious calf that gave the Minangkabau their freedom from the mightier invaders from Java, hence their name Minang, or victory, and Kerbau, or buffalo, and thus embodies Minangkabau cultural memory. A beautiful house I studied in the village of Kota Tinggi had its original carvings intact in 1991 when this photograph was taken. The Rumagadang, which literally means big house, is a typical Austronesian structure characterized by a rectangular floor plan raised on piles, in this case with distinctive roofs in the shape of buffalo horns. Different Austronesian groups who adopt this basic structure assign various metaphorical meanings to their architectural space and ornamentation according to their political, social, and religious needs. The open floor plan provides shelter for clan members and space for family gatherings. On the left is a wedding celebration from the early 1900s, and on the right is a post-wedding ritual food exchange between the bride and groom's families that I photographed in 1991. While the house is constructed by a carpenter, the elaborate wall carvings are executed by a master carver, or tukan ukiran. It soon became evident in the course of interviewing artisans that architectural and textile motifs are closely related, known by the same names and associated with the same proverbs. It also became clear that the primary concern today is to be able to replicate ancient forms and to be able to attribute meanings to these forms, whether from collective memory, from invented or reinvented tradition. The fern tendril, or kalokpaku, is among the most prominent motifs, referencing a well-known metaphor for the ideal clan leader. The fern tendrils curling in and another curling out allude to the leader's twin responsibilities, first to one's own family and the second to one's village. Other designs include ceremonial cakes, such as the lozenge-shaped saik galamay, lower right, similar to the Philippine hilis kalamay used in traditional jewelry. The motif symbolizes the importance of cooperation, for several people are needed to prepare, cut, and serve the cakes. Variations among similar carving motifs were not always completely understood, for much information and knowledge has been lost, as with many colonized cultures. For example, various complex motifs, such as on the right, were often explained simply as a kind of kaluakpaku, or fern tendril, or a kind of ular gerang, or coiled snake. Scholars such as Brigitte Hauser-Schäuble in 1991 have proposed a direct correlation between textiles and architectural carvings in other parts of Indonesia, which I argue is also the case in West Sumatra. The correlation between human attire and built structure is a widespread phenomenon noted by other scholars. For example, the 19th century architectural theorist Gottfried Semper proposes a direct correlation between costume and architecture, for architectural ornamentation mimics the art of dressing the human body. In Minangkabau, weaving and carving motifs are often known by the same name and associated with proverbs instructing proper behavior and the ideal social order. On the left, the carving motif called saluak laka or braided rattan is ubiquitous in textile borders as well, such as on the right, a reminder that intertwined parts are stronger together than a solitary strand. Most carving and textile motifs derive from nature's flora and fauna. As mentioned above, the popular fern tendril or kaluakpaku, top right, occurs regularly as foliated serpentine patterns on house carvings, lower right. Constrained by the woven textile's warp and weft, fern tendrils are translated as geometric hooks in songket textiles on the left. Kaluakpaku is among the oldest and most popular Minangkabau motifs, reminding both the wearer and the onlooker of the ideal social order. Because of their role as visual reminders of prescribed behavior, Minangkabau textiles are often called the skin of adat or customary law. The word adat derives from the Arabic adat, meaning custom. Here's an early example of a hooked fern tendril or kaluakpaku at the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston. Another early songket in Boston on the left, and on the right, a magnified view of the gold supplementary weft threads. The earliest gold threads were made of silk wrapped in gold leaf, though imported metallic thread from China or Japan were later made of less precious materials. The triangular putyuk rebung or putyuak rebuang in Minang dialect refers to the bamboo shoot, a form reminiscent of the Indian tumpal motif that occurs in many South and Southeast Asian textiles. The Minangkabau consider the bamboo shoot as a metaphor for strength that springs from within. For like the tender bamboo shoot, the clan head becomes stronger and more resilient as he matures. The row of triangular motifs admonishes the pangulo or clan head to be strong and useful like the bamboo. When young bamboo shoots are cooked, they provide nourishment. As the plants mature and harden, they supply materials for houses, fences, and household implements. Thus, a single plant provides sustenance, shelter, and protection in the same way that the clan head protects and provides for his family. As with many Southeast Asian societies, Indian elements are evident in diverse aspects of Minang culture. The Indian substratum is also manifested in Hindu stone monuments, on which are depicted motifs that are still used today, such as putyuk rebung or bamboo shoot, ular gerang or coiled snake, and itik pulang patang or ducks coming home, such as in the next slide. The weavers and carvers are interviewed claim that there are about 500 different motifs, though the average artisan knows only about 40 of these patterns. The designs signify ideal behavior and social relationships. For example, the ducks coming home or itik pulang patang features a row of abstracted S shapes symbolizing the importance of community and cooperation. It is said that the itik or ducks go everywhere together. They swim together, and at the end of the day, they return home together. Hence, the visual reminder of the importance of community frequently occurs in the borders of woven textiles and architectural carvings. Other border designs include the atuabada or small fish, caterpillars or leaves for the bilnat chew. Here again, we see the braided rattan or salokpa-laka on the right, the tree of life, bamboo shoot, and a large ceremonial plate on which are served 4 kinds of cake. referencing the importance of the number 4. Each clan, for example, is composed of 4 subgroups or suku. Each village consists of 4 hamlets or desa, and so on. Names of motifs vary from village to village. For example, the zigzag design is generally called biku-biku or liko-liko. We'll see similar patterns in Mindanao. The lozenge-shaped cake called saik galamay is in one village called kalamay in another, a cognate of the Philippine kalamay. The master weavers of Panday Sikek greatly admired the textiles of Tanjung Sungayang, where I met Ibu Ruwani on the left, who was said to be the last remaining weaver in the village. At the time of my visit, she wove only one type of textile on the right, which the weavers of Panday Sikek tried to imitate, though assigning different names and meanings. I close this section on West Sumatra by reiterating how the rich kain songket textiles are critical components of the ceremonial female attire symbolizing the primordial mother, Bundukanduang, whom the carved rumagadang also personifies. As architectural carvings symbolically clothe and protect the residents within, woven golden cloths provide the skin of adat, literally wrapping the wearer in proverbs instructing proper behavior and social order. Besides preserving cultural memory, therefore, textiles and architecture are deliberately deployed as emblems of Minangkabau identity. I now turn to intersections between West Sumatra in Indonesia and Mindanao in the Philippines. What initially attracted me to Minangkabau was the legend of Raja Baginda, a Minangkabau prince who is said to have journeyed from Sumatra to Mindanao, hence a clear Philippine connection. According to Najib Salabi's A Genealogy of Sulu, published in the History of Sulu 1908, Raja Baginda journeyed from Minangkabau to Zamboanga, thence to Basilan, and finally to Sulu, where he settled and married. After some time, Abu Bakar comes to Sulu from Palembang, also in Sumatra, marries the daughter of Raja Baginda, and establishes himself as the first sultan. The historian Cesar Mahul notes indirect evidence supporting the speculation that Raja Baginda came to Sulu in the 14th century. Of course, whenever I recounted this story to my Minangkabau informants, their inevitable query was, yes, Raja Baginda is a Minangkabau title, but what was his personal name? Note the striking convergences in architecture and clothing. On the left, a Minangkabau family in front of their rumagadang. On the right, a Maranao Datu with his family in front of their torogan. I limit my brief comparison to 4 specific motifs that occur among the Maranao, Maguindanao, and Tausug, namely the bamboo shoot versus the fern tendril, the 8-pointed star, the zigzag, and the pre-Islamic cosmogram or mandala. Traditional Maranao architecture similarly features elaborate wood carvings or okir that are not too different from Minangkabau ukiran, although I'm not as familiar with their meanings in Maranao. On the left are Maranao motifs published in Casino 1981. On the right, motifs that I encountered in West Sumatra. The similarity between the crescent-shaped motif called kianuko, top left, in Maranao, and kuko or fingernail motif in Minangkabau on the right is most striking. In Sumatra, the fingernail motif serves as a reminder to treat others as oneself. You should dig your nails into your own skin and feel the pain before doing the same to another. The Maranao tiali-tali is strikingly similar to the Minang itik pulang patang on the right, or ducks going home discussed above. The curvilinear Magayoda and Birdo Maranao patterns closely intertwine with the Minang interpretations of fern tendrils or kalawakpaku, the akachino, and the coiled snake or ular gerang. Sketches on the left and right show the Minangkabau iteration of the ancient tumpal motif, here called puchuk rabong or bamboo shoot, with the associated proverb referencing the Pangulo's character and responsibilities as clan head. While the sketch in the center from Casino 1981 documents the Maranao tumpal as pako rabong, said to reference fern tendrils instead of bamboo shoots. The triangular tumpal features prominently in both Minangkabau and Maranao textiles, such as the well-known Malunga Andon, featuring both ikat and supplementary weft techniques. Another example on the left, the Maranao Pakurabong or fern tendril as a hooked triangular form, and on the right, the Minangkabau Puchakrabong or bamboo shoot, also a triangular form referencing the ancient tumpal motif from India. Note also the 8-pointed stars that occur in both. My informants acknowledge the strong Hindu substratum in Minang culture, referring to persisting pre-Islamic forms as Yang Lama Lalu, or that which is extremely old. Intersections also occur with Maguindanao motifs, notably the ubiquitous 8-pointed stars, such as on the Minangkabau songket on the right, and on the left, the Maguindanao supplementary weft designs using silk, cotton, and gold threads, not unlike the Minangkabau examples. Maguindanao supplementary weft textiles feature exaggerated zigzags embellished with sprouting triangles in motifs called siku, referencing the bent elbow, similar to the Minangkabau zigzags called biku-biku or liku-liku. Besides Philippine intersections in South and Southeast Asia, notably India and Indonesia, many motifs trace further to West Asia. On the left, for example, a tomb cover of silk fabric with a related zigzag motif, probably woven in Turkey circa 16th to 17th century, for the Prophet Muhammad's tomb in Medina. The main inscription reads, "There is no God but God, Muhammad is a messenger of God." The narrower band below it mentions the first 4 caliphs, Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, and Ali, names that Islamicized Southeast Asian leaders often appropriate, such as Abu Bakr, the first Sultan of Sulu. As noted above, the Minangkabau trace their origins to Alexander the Great, circa 4th century BCE, known in Southeast Asia by his Persian name, Iskandar Sulkernan. Several different narratives trace Iskandar's movements and conquests through West Asia, including Turkey, Central Asia, and South Asia. Conjoining myth and reality, Minang rulers who claimed descent from Iskandar Sulkernan appropriated the name Iskandar. As with the dominant Asian cultures, pre-Islamic forms persist in Islamicized cultures, such as the cosmograms featuring a circle and a square, an octagon or cross, not unlike the Vedic Hindu mandala. Such representations of the universe occur on archetypal Persian carpets, and their reiterations beyond. On the left, for example, a Persian design attributed to Turkish manufacturer at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York, and on the right, a tausug headcloth in tapestry weave, similarly based on a geometric diagram of the cosmos and the 4 cardinal directions. Minangkabau textile scholars Anne and John Summerfield, 1997, have previously noted similarities of Minang motifs to West Asian designs. These cosmograms feature a central medallion inscribed within a square. Note similar motifs such as the 8-pointed star and hooked zigzags that frequently occur in Southeast Asian textiles. Another Persian design attributed to Turkey on the left and the tausug headcloth on the right at the UCLA Fowler Museum. I conclude with these large painted abaca cloths featuring similar cosmic compositions collected during the American colonial period. The example on the right was collected by Major Louis Fuchs of the U.S. Army between 1898 and 1903 from Lake Lanao and is now at the American Museum of Natural History in New York City. 2 more examples collected around the same period are in storage at the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston on the left. Thus, we see related motifs iterated, reiterated across a wide geographic space, employing a variety of weaving and decorative techniques from piled wool carpets to silk and gold supplementary weft textiles, tapestry weave, embroidery and applique, and hand painting, demonstrating deliberate replication of forms transcending technical constraints. New scholarship continues to illuminate widely distributed iconography transcending national borders. For example, Nazanin Monroe 2023 examines the relationship between Persian poetry and textiles and their spread to Mughal India. It is generally accepted that many textile traditions in Southeast Asia trace their origins to Indian trade cloths, some research even suggesting that Indian weavers may have traveled to parts of Indonesia, sharing not only their motifs but also their technology. External motifs and technologies are eventually localized, acquiring new names and meanings. As fashion scholar Georgia Bartlett 2022 argues, cultures have always been hybridities, the products of migrations, exchange, and cross-fertilization. In the effort to retrieve and revive Philippine textile traditions as part of nation building, examining cultural intersections among related traditions could help illuminate blurred remembrances or enable the reinvention of traditions in meaningful ways. While much information has been lost through time and the violence of colonialism, it may be possible to recapture memories, meanings, and ancient wisdom through closer scrutiny of related forms. Thank you for listening.